Hello! My name's Quinton Smith. I work online with the nickname Quinns, and I have a job that sounds like lots of you want. My friends and I make gaming content on YouTube. This is our YouTube channel. We have just under 100,000 subscribers, which is enough for it to make it a job for a few people. Soon we're going to start streaming on Twitch. We also have a podcast. So today I thought I'd basically do the boring bit, and I would talk to you guys about what goes into the work of this, because YouTube is all about making stuff look fun, and it is fun, but also sometimes it's work. And if you're serious, if you guys really want to do this, or you were just wondering what goes into making YouTube content, maybe I can teach you guys a little bit about that. Yep, like I say, this is the site, that was the YouTube channel. It's just one part of a bigger site that we run called Shut Up and Sit Down. And as Annie said, it covers board games. So does anyone here this might be a big ask for a bunch of video gamers. And I used to work in the video games industry too, but board games are pretty good. Does anyone here like card games or, yeah? Oh, okay, that's more than I thought. Does anyone here like role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons? That's a bunch of you, yeah. See, so maybe you guys know this already, but board games are pretty cool. Does anyone want to have a guess at how many board games were released last year? 1,000? 2 million's quite a lot. 3 million is also quite a lot, because that would be like everyone in England making board games all the time. The answer was 3,000. This is a chart. Oh, no, that's just me working. If we can get the next one. So this is a chart, but you see how it starts going crazy recently. This is the number of board games released in the last 100 years per year. So about the time of the internet, which let people like me do my job, board game sales started going crazy, and the number of board games being made started going crazy because people could find out how good board games are, and they could also meet people who wanted to play the same games, and they could buy them online. And so here's something a bit more relevant. This is my board game collection. I've got about 200, and I get sent them all the time, so I think I'm allowed to have a collection this big, but it is, perhaps slightly too many. But I'm glad that you guys like board games, because it's us keeping a tradition alive. Humans have liked board games and just sitting down and playing games with their friends and family for as long as there have been humans. But with 3,000 board games coming out each year, you just don't know which ones to buy. So that's where my site comes in. We're kind of meant to be your entry point. If you think, are board games fun? And you go to Shut Up and Sit Down, we're there. We tell you, yes, board games can be fun. Board games can be amazing. And you can listen to us talk about our favorite games or funny sort of stories we had playing games, and find out which ones to buy. Or some people just watch us because they like seeing all the fun that we have. So I'm going to talk a bit. You guys, this might be sort of, you guys might know about this, but I'm recording this. I'm going to put it online. So this is more for the people who don't know about this. But I'm going to walk you through a few sort of board games that we have. The sort of like the games we talk about. So this is a game called Two Rooms and a Boom. This is a game you actually play on your feet. And it's a game about hostage exchanges. So everyone at the start of the game is dealt a card, right? So you might be the one player in this big game of like 15 or 20 people. You might be the president, or you might be the bomber who has to blow up the president, or you might just be on a red or blue team. But the thing is, no one knows what team anyone is on. So you've got all these people trying to figure out what team their friends are on, and then who the president might be, and make sure the bomb doesn't explode next to the president. But it's just a game you play on your feet, of talking, of lying, and because it's played to a really tight time limit, it's just really exciting. Everyone's tense. They're going, what team are you on? It's all very dramatic. But some games are just even like physical. This is Flick 'em Up. Flick 'em Up is just a game of cowboys having a gunfight, and the bullets they shoot at each other are little pieces of wood or plastic that you have to flick at other cowboys, and if you knock down a cowboy, then they've been shot. But it's lovely because just like sort of pool, you're walking around the table, you're firing things, and there's something so silly and funny about it, and I always have a blast every time I play this. But in some games, you're working together, and this is one of my all-time favorite games. This is called Mysterium, and this is everyone working together to beat the game. And the story is one person, like if we were to play in a group, one of us would be the ghost. and the ghost isn't allowed to speak for the whole game. But you see that big sort of screen there on the right? The ghost knows who all the suspects are and the sort of murder weapons and the murder locations, and the ghost has to communicate that to the other players who are psychics sleeping in the house that the ghost haunts. So the psychics are all talking and trying to figure out what crime was committed here, but the only way the ghost can communicate is by giving you these cards that are the dreams you're having as you go to sleep. So you go to sleep and the ghost will give you your dream that night, and you have these beautiful and crazy illustrations that are done by really talented artists that are what you dreamed of. So let's say you dreamt of that guy in the middle, riding a unicycle. How would that relate to 3 of your possible suspects? And you have to try and look at this piece of art and think, well, why would the ghost give me this dream? And it's really interesting. But as fun as Mysterium is, you might see me now like really struggling to explain why it's fun. And maybe you guys have experienced that, where you really care about something and it's just really difficult to get your friends to care about it or to understand why you care. And that's part of my job, is we take these board games and we have to try and express why they're exciting. So to express why Mysterium was exciting, we dressed up in old like 1920s psychic clothes and filmed it in a proper spooky haunted house, and we just filmed us playing it. And that video has 92,000 views, but maybe more importantly and more excitingly for me, it meant that game sold more. The people who made it were really grateful that we were able to show what made their game exciting, and just get it into the hands of more people. And I think the top comment on this is Fizzy going, "This is brilliant," and I'm biased, but I think he's right, and I think it is brilliant. So yeah, that's like the background on what I do, but now I'm going to talk a bit about just kind of like the job of being a YouTuber. And hopefully the advice I give, whatever you're into, whether it's like anime or makeup or history or hip hop or whatever you care about, I think the advice that I've got next is going to be useful for anyone who wants to make anything. And we're going to start with the fun part of my job. Hooray! We now know you all watch YouTubers and streamers, right? So put your hand up if you watch YouTubers and streamers. Okay, now I want you to keep your hand up if those YouTubers and streamers you watch are having fun when you watch them, if they're smiling. No one put their hand down. Okay, that's great. So you can all put your hands down now. But what I did there, what I've proven is that all streamers just like to have fun. And we do as well. Like, that's a big part of our job, is just smiling and having fun. And we're doing this because we just care so much. And streamers, whether they make prank videos or talk about music or fitness, just care, and they love making stuff for you. And you love watching them. You like being part of their world and seeing how much fun they're having, because that helps you to have fun too. So that's an amazing job, right? We have fun making stuff, and then you have fun watching it, and it's all fun. But here's a catch that you guys might not have thought of. So has anyone here made a video for their friends or put a video on YouTube? You can put your hands up if you have. So a few of you, right? So did you guys have fun doing that and making that thing? You can keep your hand up if you did. Yeah, nodding and hands up. Yeah, that was fun. So now what I want you to imagine is, maybe the next slide? What I'd like you to imagine is, so you have fun making one video, but that's not the job. Now I want you to imagine and ask yourself, would you still have fun if you had to make a video every week? If you had to make a video every week for a year about that thing you cared about? And so put your hands up if you had to make a video every week for a year just to start an audience. Do you think you would still really enjoy that? Yeah, some of you put some hands up, but 1 year isn't even, imagine you had to do it for 5 years. Yep, some hands, but there's less of you, right? And so that's kind of what I wanted to prove, is this is the job. The job is making stuff all the time and enjoying it. The way I like to think about this and making content is it's like a health bar, right? So when you play it's Minecraft, and yeah, this is okay, thank you everybody. It's Minecraft, I play Minecraft. Yeah, it's like a health bar in Minecraft or any other video game. But you know when you start playing a video game and you have that full health bar, right? You have that full health bar, and you're really excited to make things, but over time, your health will start to go down, because maybe you put loads of energy into a video and then it doesn't get as many views as you were hoping for. You'll be a bit sad. Or what if one of your microphones breaks and all that time you thought you were recording, you weren't, and you've lost like a whole day's work? Then you're going to lose health, you're going to lose health as well. Or maybe you started like playing Fortnite and loving it, but because it's now your job and you play it every day for 8 hours, maybe you're not enjoying Fortnite so much. And so your health bar goes down. And this is the job. And this isn't something that streamers talk about because it's not very, it's not what you want to believe. When you're watching streamers, you just want to believe they're having fun. And we are, but it doesn't really benefit streamers to be like, actually, I'm not really enjoying my job anymore. So they kind of have to fake it. They have to keep smiling. So this is, in a way, the best part of my job because it means if I'm not having fun and my health bar starts going down, so I've lost my place in the slides. So if I'm not having this much fun all the time and my health bar starts going down, then kind of everything that I'm doing can start to fall apart because maybe I make videos less often, or maybe I'm not smiling this much. And when I'm not smiling this much, then you guys, the audience, they know, they can pick up on that. And that means that maybe you'll just start to lose interest in that streamer. And then suddenly, everything that you're starting to build bit by bit, like a big Lego statue, because that's what building an audience is, right? You and your friends are building things up week after week after week after week. But if you're not having fun, that whole thing can collapse. And then you lose your audience. And because you lose your audience, you stop making videos. And then because you stop making videos, you lose more audience. So by far, the best thing about my job is that I have to have fun, and I spend so much time thinking about my health bar and how I have fun. And this is going to be different for all of you. But if you want to make content, if you want to make a career out of YouTube, then you're going to, I think, spend more time than you expect thinking about what makes you happy, what's going to make you want to make stuff. And for me, I've figured that out. I'm lucky. I've figured out it's something really simple. It's working with my friends. And it's just having like a really good time with them. But you know, still, it's not always easy to keep my health bar up. So this was a really stupid video I did where I was reviewing a board game set in like ancient Egypt. And so I bought this really cheap ancient Egypt costume and I wore it. And it just made me look really silly for the whole thing. And that was kind of fun for the viewers. But secretly, I'll let you guys in on a secret. The reason I bought a stupid costume for this video was because I wasn't in the mood to make a video. I wasn't feeling very funny and very happy. And you guys have all had days like that, right? Where you just wake up and maybe you're in a bad mood. Well, the catch about my job is that when you're in a bad mood, you still have to pretend like you're not. So you really have to take care of yourself. And so, yeah, I bought this stupid costume because I wanted to take that pressure off myself to be funny. So I made myself look funny. And if you guys are making content, you're going to need to figure out little sort of ways around that stuff too. That's kind of the gist. That's one part of your job. You've got to keep happy and you've got to think about what makes you happy. But now let's move on to the not so fun bit of my job because your teacher today asked me to talk about what goes into making a video for Shut Up and Sit Down. So let's talk about that a bit. The good news for you guys is you can film everything on your phones. You have something that I didn't when I started. You can use your phones to make videos. But there's one problem with phones, which is everyone has one. So if you want to make videos that look better than everyone else, that maybe have a bit like better editing or just look nicer or sound nicer, then you're going to need to put more effort in and think about that process. So for me, making a video starts with something that looks super boring, but it's a script. So have you guys ever thought that maybe those YouTubers or streamers you like might be writing down what they're going to say? Because that's what we do. We think about what we want to say and we write it all down and we actually do it together. And this is the really scary bit. My friends and I will be writing jokes and we'll be thinking about what we want to say. But then we might come in and say, you know what, I think this joke could be funnier, or I don't think you're making much sense here. So once we've got our script and we've planned ahead, let's talk about different angles. So we spend a lot of time thinking about what makes videos look boring, which means that we end up moving the camera a lot. Because if you've just got one camera angle, then it can look a bit boring. So we figure out a few different ways to shoot board games from all kinds of different angles.
What were you doing there?
He was doing a joke. You can watch the video and find out. But that means working with a couple of invisible enemies who are both really, really annoying. And the first is light. So all those streamers you like are almost certainly working with lights that you have to buy. Now, this can be really difficult because does anyone here want to guess what the #1 thing we use for light is? We use energy, yeah, and well, the number, it's kind of a trick question because the biggest thing we use for lighting is the sun, because the sun pours out so much light. But the problem with the sun is that it moves and it goes behind clouds. So the way you have to light any given shot is going to change depending on where the sun is, and then you need to move lights around. And yeah, honestly, this is something that's so tricky that people go to school just for this. But yeah, it's every time you're watching streamers film something, anything, they're going to have lights behind that, and they're going to figure out ways to light that shot so it looks nicer, so the background looks a bit cleaner. But also, we're going to be working with, that's the sun, that's a nice picture of the sun. Also, we're going to be working with sound, and the sound is really, really difficult. And so as you can see there, we've got a microphone that's mounted on the camera. But just like when you go to light shots, it just teaches you how amazing your eyes are, because if anyone's taken a photo and then bits of the photo have been too dark or too bright, that shows you that cameras really struggle to make stuff look as good as it does to our eyes. And sound is the same. Our ears are amazing, and to try and just get the effect of a human ear, you have to do all this little tricky stuff. So after we've gotten the script and we've picked the angle and we've set up lights, then we have to set up a microphone. And microphones are difficult because they all have problems. So that thing's fine, but it's too far away. So what I've got here is a little clip mic, but every time I touch it, I'm going to make a really horrible, nasty, rasping sound. So you've got to be thinking about, oh, I did it. That's, yeah. So this might be what you see when you watch a YouTube video, but now I want you to imagine all the things that I've told you. So you've got that camera, which we set up just right. There are going to be lights right behind the camera. There's going to be a microphone set up pointed at me. And what all of that means, because we've set it up just right, what it means is that I can't move. So if I put my head up a little bit, then I'm going to be out of the shot. If I turn away, then the microphone isn't going to be picking up. If I move too far, then the lights aren't going to work. And yet, from this little cramped position, I'm probably going to be trying to wave my hands and move my face just to make the shot a bit more interesting, because if everyone stands very still, then you don't get a shot that's very interesting. So what I'm saying, I guess, is that way more goes into making YouTube videos than you guys might think. But what I'm not saying is that any of you guys need equipment. It's more that you guys are, there's a lot to think about. And if you start experimenting now, then you might start learning stuff. And then finally, we have the process that's the bit that's my favorite part. This is editing. This is where when you've filmed all your little clips, then you're going to be stitching them together. And I mentioned Lego earlier, and this is just like Lego, and this is so much fun to me. You've got all those clips on the left, which are little things you filmed, and then you get to drag them and clip them together in the bottom right, in a big long thing. And if you've not experimented with this or messed around with just making little videos for your friends, you are going to have so much fun when you start trying, because what's amazing is once you've filmed something, if you put sound effects on it or if you put music on it, then you just transform what you've made into something that's so much more awesome and different and fun. So all of this stuff might sound like quite a lot to learn, and it is. You've got, writing and learning about cameras and light and sound and editing. But this is the cool thing about working as a team, right? This is why you guys might want to think about working with your friends when you go to make stuff, because different people are sometimes interested in different things. So I'm there on the left and I just really care about board games, but my friend Matt there on the right, who I work with, really cares about cameras and light. And so when you work together, it's not maybe that you necessarily need fancy equipment. Maybe sometimes you just need friends who are interested in the stuff that you're not. And so the last thing I'll say just about being a YouTuber, I don't know if, has anyone here seen or read The Hunger Games? That's a few people, right? Okay, so if you haven't, in The Hunger Games, you've got you have 24 contestants who are all going to be fighting each other, and there can only be one survivor. And those seem like pretty bad odds, right? It seems like winning The Hunger Games might be quite hard. But the truth is that if you want to make a career out of YouTube, then your odds of actually being one of those people who makes money from it are way worse than The Hunger Games. And so, yeah, what I'm saying is that if you want to do this, it's not that you need fancy equipment that I'm talking about. It's not that you are going to need to necessarily work really hard, but you might want to think a little bit about just experimenting now and making stuff, because the earlier you start making stuff, then the more you're going to start making mistakes, the more you're going to start learning about what you care about or what you're good at, and also, finally, the most important thing and the easiest thing, when you're watching YouTubers and streamers that you like, if you want to do this for a living, just think a bit about why you like them and then steal their secrets and steal their style, because all the YouTubers that you like and watch will have stolen their tricks and the stuff that makes them exciting from somebody else. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about a bit is privacy, and if you guys are experimenting and making stuff online. Because if you do something really stupid and put it on the internet, then it can be really hard to remove that stuff. So before you put anything up, while it's good to get practice making things now, what I would say is think a bit about how it makes you look, and think about whether in 10 years, when you're finished school and you might be interviewing for an adult job, if people find your prank videos or if they find your anime reviews or whatever, then think about whether you would be happy with that. And just before you put something online. I bet a lot of you know that making stuff online means dealing with some pretty mean commenters, and the more famous you get, the more mean people you're going to have to deal with. My team spends a lot of time in YouTube, not at the front making videos. We spend quite a lot of time in the hidden bit at the back, deleting mean comments. So I would say that if you're going to put stuff online, don't be afraid to turn comments off, because people aren't always nice on the internet, and maybe tell an adult if you have a really uncomfortable interaction with someone. And also just treat others well in order to create a world where you want to be treated well and your hard work can be appreciated, because yes, we do spend a lot of time cleaning up mean comments, and I think people don't really think that, you know, I read this stuff, but I do. And so maybe rather than leaving mean comments, if you're ever inclined to do it, think about maybe leaving a nice comment on your creator's work, because people like me do read that stuff and really enjoy reading nice comments. So yeah, that's just about it. Thanks for listening. If you want to know more about the stuff that I do, you can search for Shut Up and Sit Down on Google or YouTube, and also you can subscribe. You can give us those subscriber numbers. That would be fun. And if you want to know more about board games, yeah, Mrs. Langley's board game club is always here, right? Right, thank you very much.